There are way too many students who have difficulty in math. It's now time to raise the bar for math education. This video will outline ways to bring a struggling student up to his or her class level. The text that I'm reading will be included below, so you could follow along. The outline is as follows. Rule 1, the law of expectation. Rule 2, removal of the root of the problem resolves the aptitude problem. Rule 3, the resistance you face is nothing but an idiot. And methods of rapid teaching. Rule 1, the law of expectation. The first thing that a tutor needs to know is that there is no such thing as a healthy or normal child without a natural ability to learn mathematics. What a teacher expects of a child turns out to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. This has been proven by an experiment that I heard about in a Pat Robertson video. In the experiment, a random teacher and random students were chosen. The teacher was told that he or she was chosen to teach gifted students. After a year, the gifted students scored much higher than average. All children have a natural ability to learn mathematics, with the exception of children with severe nervous system and/or genetic handicaps. If a child can walk normally, use his or her arms, speak, and doesn't have Down syndrome or brain damage from an injury, there is no reason that this child shouldn't be at the same level with other children of the same age, except someone in the past believing that this child was slow. And as a note, it is my belief that people with Down syndrome learn differently than other people. I have no experience with Down syndrome. To find out how people with Down syndrome learn, ask somebody who overcome Down syndrome. They can probably learn too. I once tutored a girl who was 15 and working at a 3rd grade level. My first thought was that she was actually a genius. I willfully held to that belief while tutoring. In 1 hour, she improved 1 grade level. In another hour, she improved another grade level. In a third hour, she improved still another grade level. I had her take her 6th grade level homework to school to be corrected to show this girl was absolutely not handicapped. Sadly, her pastor put a stop to this because all he saw was a 32-year-old man spending time with a 15-year-old female. So instead of this girl going to college, this genius, now about 35 years old, has probably spent her life in social programs for the mentally handicapped. It's difficult to learn to control what one believes about a person, but it can be done. Elementary school teachers make human mistakes and sometimes ruin a child's life. Every elementary school teacher should know how his or her beliefs about a child will affect how that child for life. My statement that no child lacks the aptitude to learn math should be printed somewhere in very large print. Any teacher given 30 random people, small children to communicate with, will have a disconnect with 1 or 2. Anyone, adult or child, can have an off day when they are distracted from the business of learning. Rule 2. The removal of the root of the problem removes the problem's aptitude, or removes the aptitude problem. If you discover and fix the root of the problem, the learning difficulties will easily and automatically go away. The entire learning problem is based on the root of the problems and the problems that directly stem from the root. There are 3 categories of issues that stem from the root. The misunderstood concepts that snowball with the introduction of each new concept. The belief from teachers and other people in the child's life that this person isn't intelligent. And the emotional pain from the frustration of just not getting it while others seem to understand the topic. The child who doesn't want to face mathematics, i.e. hates math, is running away from a problem. Here is an example. I had a neighbor in 7th grade who didn't know his addition or multiplication tables, but he knew how to do long addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with quite a few mistakes. I realized immediately that his failure to memorize tables at one point was the root, and then I made his mother focus on making him learn these tables while I worked on his confidence, used my willpower to counter other people's past opinions, and simply taught math from fractions up until algebra. The entire process took about 12 weeks, a total of 24 hours. The first day I showed him a trick to double strings of 8 to 10 digits as if in his head by simply writing the answer from left to right. He learned this concept right away, and as this was different from the standard education that he had issues with. The idea was to work on his confidence and to demonstrate to his family that he was not dull. We even joked about him acting like a genius. This trick is simply to look at the next number when you're adding and to see whether you carry a 0 or whether you carry a 1. For example, the number 4827523 would go like this. 4 plus 4 ends in 8. You look at the next number, which is more than 5, and it carries a 1. So the first digit is 9. 8 plus 8, the second number, ends in a 6. The next number is 2, and 2 plus 2 carries a 0, and so on. In most cases, the root of the problem will be obvious. What is the earliest item that the child doesn't understand? And why is the child fearful of math? It's usually the buildup of failures and frustrations. When and where was the earliest incident of someone having negative beliefs about this child's aptitude? It's usually around the first time of the misunderstood concept. Rule 3. The resistance you face is nothing but an idiot. When tutoring a person with subject difficulties, your mind and the student's mind are ganging up to remove the idiot's control. The confusion from misunderstandings, the belief that your student is stupid, and the pain from frustration form what seems like a personality. This formed personality is an idiot. In some cases, there may be somebody who benefited, socially or otherwise, from the belief that this student isn't intelligent. This person will oppose the positive changes of successful tutoring. The pastor I mentioned earlier might have been an example of this. Remember when working with a student with difficulties that you were cleaning up somebody else's mess. The misunderstood concepts based on the root misunderstood concept will require a little effort to clean up. You might have to briefly review the entire tree of a student's math education, looking for and fixing misunderstood concepts. The better you have handled the root misunderstood, the easier the other misunderstood concepts will resolve. In correcting another person's negative beliefs that have accumulated over time, you have to focus your willpower based on what you convince yourself to be true. To get the student to focus his or her willpower with you, compliments are necessary. Every time something is done correctly, you let the student know how good he or she is doing. To handle the emotional baggage, you let the student communicate with you about anything you can get him or her to talk about. Communication with a friend relieves the emotional buildup. Methods of rapid teaching. The advantages of one-on-one teaching cannot be understated. If there were enough teachers such that each child had 2 hours per week of one-on-one attention in math, most people would be doing calculus before 9th grade. With computers and video instruction, this might become possible. If teachers know the concepts well enough and have a personal interest in the topic, he or she can radiate the instruction directly into the subconscious mind of the student, along with the conscious level instruction and communication. The result is very rapid learning. If teaching were to groups of 3 or less, learning speeds could be as much as 10 times faster than regular classroom instruction. A teacher has to be very skilled at juggling to give direct attention to 3 students at once. I'm stating how good possible is, not what I've done or seen in actual practice. I can only rapid teach 1 student at a time. When the teacher is radiating and the student is absorbing, there are brief moments when the teacher forgets what he or she knows or gets confused. This isn't a bad thing, because it means the student is drawing directly from the teacher. The teacher's lapses last only for a few seconds, and the teacher gets stronger over time in experience. I learned how to count and do arithmetic in base 12 to reinforce my understandings of the basic concepts. It also improved my ability to radiate. The biggest and most common block to rapid learning is the misunderstood concept. A student can't learn rapidly with even a partially misunderstood concept. If there is any pause when approaching a concept, then there is still a slight misunderstanding of the concept. For example, if I ask what is 7 times 8, and I don't hear 56 within 1 second, this person doesn't fully know the multiplication tables. However, if I ask someone to add 2 fractions, and they immediately know how to find the least common denominator, then they know how to add fractions. Misunderstood understandings of basic concepts become more obvious when introducing more advanced concepts. When teaching a new concept, I give many examples and explain in multiple ways to make sure the student can get the concept instantly. Sometimes I will note a misunderstood concept underlining a student not getting the new concept. For example, when introducing algebra equations such as 1/3 b minus 9 equals 18, I have no problem getting the student to add 9 to both sides to reduce it to 1/3 b equals 27. But I can't get the student to multiply 7 and 1/3 by 3. Then I realize the student doesn't understand that 3 over 1 and 3 are the exact same thing, and that 1/3 and 3 cancel out by multiplying. I thus have to give many examples of the more basic concept until the student gets the correct answers instantly. Then I show the more advanced concept once again. If teaching is done with making sure each concept is being fully understood by repetition if necessary, I can introduce a new concept every hour. At that rate, I can cover a lot of material in a short time. If the teacher knows the subject well enough, he or she can create problems in their mind and vary the problems in such a way as to demonstrate the concept and make sure the student understands it well. Just as water cannot flow through a pipe or straw if either the top end or the bottom end is blocked, information cannot flow from a teacher who doesn't get an inflow. Math teachers need someone to improve their math. I personally use YouTube.